Yo, what is up, guys? It is your boy Rolando here from TROLLI TCG. How are you guys doing today? Just kidding. Don't answer that. I already know you're doing awesome because you're watching this video. Alright, so today I am here to bring you another card discussion, which is a bit out of the norm since normally we do just post a bunch of fucking troll-ass cards on here and everything like that. So, today I'm doing a deck discussion because, you know what, to be honest, the meta is trolling everyone that isn't necessarily baller and has tons of money. So let's just put it like that. So if you are attempting to play in Yu-Gi-Oh right now and you don't have enough money to pick yourself up some strikes or dimension barriers, then you're probably getting raped by them. And that's just being blunt, you know. Someone flips you go to Twin Twist, they flip dimension barrier chain, and then you get nothing out of it, and then they still stop your extra deck plays. So I am here today to bring you some cards that have been forgotten about that could potentially be some budget choices to solve this issue. So now, everyone knows that 3-dimension barrier and vanities in a deck right now is pretty busted. It's essentially 4 vanities except 3 underpowered ones, and then you have the Strike Brigade, which is just plain disgusting. Seriously. So an issue is, you know, you go to basically right now in Yu-Gi-Oh, if you win the die roll, or rock paper scissors if you're playing online, then you basically win the match. Because if you're playing ABCs or Hero Toads or Paleozoic Toads or whatever it is, or Totally Awesome anything, then you most likely set up this unbreakable board or this field that's really hard to get around, and you normally set like strike warning or strike vanities, dimension barrier, whatever it may be, and then pass your turn while you have a Toad up or a Buster Dragon up. And then it gets really hard to play the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Basically, if you don't have a Kaiju, a Maxi, a Ghost Ogre, even freaking a Veiler, then you are going to have a hard time trying to play while your opponent goes off on their first turn, and that's the fact of it. Or Twin Twister, unless you don't open Twin Twister, then you're going to have a hard time checking around the cards. So, today we are here to talk about some cards that might be a little bit beneficial to try out to use budget-wise, because all 3 of these cards are actually very budget to use. We got Night Beam, Wiretap, and Magic Drain. So let's get into why these cards could be considered the best possible tech choices, especially budget-wise, for playing against the meta, or even side deck if you are a meta player and you want something because you yourself don't want to get Dimension Barrier, even though you want to be the jerk that plays Dimension Barrier because you got money like that, then that's fine. This video's for you too, dog. We got you. We looking out for you over here. We looking out for everybody out here. Anyways, we got Night Beam. So Night Beam is an old card. I remember ultis for Night Beam used to be like 13 bucks. Now ultis for Night Beam are like 250. Okay, 250. All right. So if you want to pick yourself up some Night Beams, even ulti at that, go ahead and do so, because this is one card that they cannot chain Dimensional Barrier to. Okay, so if you can get this card out, if you draw this in your card after your opponent goes first, Night Beam their shit, they can't chain Dimension Barrier, and there you go. That's pretty much plain and simple. That's all it is. I mean, everyone knows Night Beam is, yes, slow MST, not a Twin Twister. Obviously, those cards could be better choices. However, being that your opponent can still chain any of their cards in response to Night Beam, in response to MST or Twin Twister, if people are still playing MST, and then there is Cosmic Cyclone, you kind of waste your discard if you're playing Twin Twister, or you just kind of waste your card for no reason because they get to chain anyways, especially with Dimension Barrier being there. And I just know that it's a very big card that's being played right now. Some people think it's okay, it's mediocre at best, and then other people will definitely say that when it goes off, it goes off. It definitely just stops your opponent. I myself have played, Cosmo Demise artifacts with 3-dimension barrier, and then I go Scythe, and then on the very next turn I go Dimension Barrier, and then call the Haunt Loop back Scythe, so for 3 turns my opponent couldn't even use the extra deck. Yes, I was being an asshole, but that's not the point here. So, Night Beam, can't chain their Dimension Barrier, 250, worth citing, testing it out. Why don't you go do that? I mean, I'm testing it out. Tyler's testing it out. So far we like it. It's pretty good. It works. It's stopping Dimension Barrier. People aren't seeing it coming. They're cheap as fuck right now when they used to be expensive. Maybe one day they'll rise back to their high price. Who knows? Now moving on to Wiretap. Everyone used to be so up on Wiretap back during like YUGIOH format, and Fire Fist and everything like that. Wiretap was really fucking good back then when everyone was Helmet and just set 5, summon, pass. Before even Satellar's, we used to have the set 5, So Wiretap, counter, negate, shuffle it back into the deck. So the thoughts behind this is They activate Solemn or Dimension Barrier or Vanities, whatever it may be. And maybe you have a deck that you necessarily don't want to pay life points, or you don't want to do anything at all besides kind of OTK your opponent or set up your own field, and you're going first. If you can set Wiretap down and then your opponent goes and they set their own Solemn Strike or their traps, on your next upcoming turn, if you go to summon something and they Solemn it and then you Wiretap that shit back, they're not going to see that coming because this card got reprinted twice, so it is also like 50 cents. If you want to test this card out, go ahead and try that. It might be pretty good against Dimension Barrier. It might be pretty good against Solemn Strike. I mean, think about it. We are starting to head back to a format where people are starting to play a lot of traps. You have all the Mirror Force cards. Floodgate Trap Hole is one dangerous as card in the game right now, and I think it's still being undervalued. I definitely think that Floodgate Trap Hole is a really, really good card right now. With, you know, Quaking Mirror Force or Drowning. Then, of course, you have these fucking traps down here that are just so helmet. So, I mean, we're going back to a format where people are just setting shit tons of cards and then setting, you know, a lot of monsters on board, and then they just go from there. And, you know, Wiretap is another card that keeps up with this speed in order to negate, you know, your Solemns and stuff like that. So, Wiretap, worth a try. Then we have Magic Drain. So this, I know a lot of people might not care for. A lot of people might just think that's straight stupid. However, I mean, isn't that the concept of this channel? Besides, I mean, here's what happens. They activate a spell card, and either, you know, you flip this and they have to discard another spell card just to make sure their first spell card goes through, or they have nothing and then their card gets negated and you don't have to pay anything. I myself really love this card in Toons, only because, you know, Toons are the shit. You know, try to keep those alive as long as possible. But you know what? Like I said, Magic Drain, they don't have a response to that. They don't have an answer. Then, you know, it's out. So let's say you're playing a deck that's pretty helmet, and you know what? You're gonna tech Magic Drain because you don't want them to Twin Twist your shit, and you just flip Magic Drain. Bam, there you go. They just wasted their own cards, and now they're stuck. They're just behind. They're minused. So these are just a few cards that could possibly be pretty decent. And I mean, you know, siding, you don't have to main them. Obviously, it'd be a little, you know, other cards could take priority in your main deck. However, it could be decent to side, you know, especially if you know you're going to play someone that's most likely going to side in a lot of, you know, Pendulum Hate or just other shit like that. Or, you know, you already know your opponent plays 3-Dimension Barrier because you fucking saw all 3 of them in game 1, which is very unfortunate, to be honest. But, you know, it's totally possible that stuff like that would happen. So we got our Shape Snatch over here, also a really good card. And one last card that I would say isn't necessarily the cheapest. I mean, I think it's like $9 right now, but it used to be like 50 bucks. Denko Sekka. Alright. This card, if you play a Pendulum deck, Metal Foes, you know what? If they they have their first turn, let's say you're playing Metal Foes and you draw this card game 2 and 3, and you're playing against Totally Heroes or ABCs or anything like that, and you just, bam, normal summon that hoe. They're done. That's it. No more set. Don't activate shit. Just sit there and watch me go off. This card used to be so crazy when everyone used to play us in Necros, you know, or just summon Denko Sekka and bam, your opponent's pretty much done. This card was the nuts, seriously. And it has potential to, you know, maybe come back into decks where they don't necessarily play a lot of back row, or, you know, they just want to summon Denko Sekka and continue playing around it, or, you know, playing around your opponent because they can't do anything. It's totally a possibility. That, and then one last thing, which is a very obvious choice, of course, if your deck does not play traps, you just got your standard row decree. Side 3 of these things. Game 2, go first, row decree, flip, bam, opponent has no back row, you solve a majority of your issue. All I'm saying is right now in the metagame, it just seems like you get like 2 or 3 monsters on board, Dark Law, totally awesome, or ABC Buster, and then you have your shit ton of back row, and then you have a really hard time trying to play Yu-Gi-Oh! So these are just some solutions that you could possibly take into consideration. They might not be the best, obviously, but you know what? They're also very budget, except for Denko Sekka, like I said, maybe $9, $7, $9. Maybe you get it for cheaper from somebody else at your locals. Who knows? But Night Beam, $250 for an ulti. I mean, it's ulti. You might as well go highest rarity on that thing. Royal Decrees got reprinted in Super when Necros came out, so don't even bother about that. Wiretaps, like I said, 50 cents, got reprinted twice. And then Magic Drains, don't even get me started. Common, come on, guys. This is some stuff that we could easily play in order to get around the really hard shit. Because we all can't afford to spend 60, 70 bucks on Dimension Barriers. And you know what? Solemn Strikes used to be like 20 bucks. Then they went up to 40. Now they're like, you know, floating between 35 to 40. So you know what? Not everyone can afford that, and that's just the sake of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's kind of repetitive for people to try to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And at least want to have fun or do whatever they can, and then they just run into a bunch of cards because basically it could sometimes be pay to win. And I know sometimes pay to win is a little hard to believe because, you know, it is also luck at the end of the day. It is, you know, legit heart of the cards with this fucking game. You know, you go to Walmart, you spend like $4 on a pack of cards, and you might get a $60 card, or the $40 card, which is totally cool. It's totally possible, but not everyone has that kind of luck, or not everyone has that kind of money to just go around and buying packs. I myself don't buy packs anymore. I mean, I would buy a booster box to open it on the channel. However, I myself just like to buy singles, just get it done. I don't really care for buying packs, but that's just me. That doesn't mean it has to be for you, but just take these into consideration, or not. Who really cares? I know I don't, but whatever. That's how we do. We just like to troll around here. That's the whole concept. So, yep, think about it, and let me know what you guys think. What are some other cards that I might have missed that could be in your side deck or main deck that you guys think are working or have worked for you specifically? So just go ahead and let me know in the comment section, and peace out. We'll see you guys next time.